Welcome to another video on SAT test prep. This time we are going to talk about focusing on punctuation for the sentence completions. So hopefully you had watched the video on keywords and flow words, because by focusing on keywords and flow words you can have a better idea as to what to put in the blank. So again, it will enhance your understanding of the sentence. Another thing that can enhance your understanding of the sentence will be the focus on punctuation, which we'll talk about right now. So certain punctuation marks also signal the continuation of ideas in a sentence. There are three common punctuation marks we'd like to watch out for. The first one will be commas, which everyone should be familiar with, colons, which some people might be confused about, and semicolons, which also can be somewhat confusing. We'll start with commas. So as you know, a comma is usually used to give you a bit of a pause in a sentence, sometimes if you're listing things, or if you're separating two different parts of a sentence. And the two different parts you'll be separating will be what's called an independent clause and a dependent clause. An independent clause is like a statement that could stand on its own as a sentence, whereas a dependent clause would not be able to stand on its own as a sentence. So usually a comma is used to separate those two statements or phrases in one compound sentence. And usually we tend to see commas when we're using the negative flow words, like the words like but, despite, although. If you look at earlier, we see how we use although, blah, 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 comma. So that's something to keep in mind. So a comma used in the sense of a negative flow word indicates a change in the direction of the sentence. So even though the comma is used to separate the independent and dependent clause, also we will see how it separates the two contrasting parts of a sentence. So if we look at like this example right here, the easy one, formerly most textile dyes were of animal or vegetable origin. Then we see the comma and we see the negative flow word, but today most are coal tar petroleum. So I could probably say most are made from coal tar petroleum. The word I'm putting in the blank is not necessarily an antonym of another word within a sentence, but at least the ideas are opposite. In other cases, the comma may serve to separate the cause and effect of an action in a sentence. And that would be the hard example right down below. So by selling information to a rival company, Thompson was unquestionably guilty of blank behavior. Because I have the word hard next to sentence completion, that means that we are expecting the correct answer to probably be a bizarre word or a more challenging word. But anyway, if we look at this, we see the comma. He sold information to a rival company. That's your dependent clause, because that can't stand on its own as a sentence. The second part is your independent clause. He'd be unquestionably guilty of. So in this case, we want 100% agreement. Because we see this as cause and effect. So you can probably see he's guilty of malicious behavior, which actually means evil or bad. Or you could say illegal behavior. But obviously you want something that would be indicative of what behavior you would have if you did something for your rival, or you were disloyal to who you're working for. Let's look at colons. A colon serves to elaborate an idea made in the initial part of a sentence. So if we look at this one here, it was difficult to understand the scandal, then we see a colon. Now the colon is like using the word because. So sometimes you see a colon, you think of like, you see a colon, then you list things, but it also can be used to elaborate on what you're saying earlier. So, again, we expect 100% agreement between the two parts of the sentence. So it's like a positive flow word. So it's difficult to understand this candle, so it's difficult to understand, so it probably shows extremely confusing. We also see the word and, that's a positive flow word. It's not in the least suggestive, so obviously you can't really understand it. Then we see a semicolon. Now, a semicolon is used in place of a colon for grammatical reasons, because in this case you have two independent clauses, meaning that you have two statements that can stand on their own as sentences, so you don't want a run-on sentence, so we put a semicolon instead. A semicolon is also like a period, but also like a colon, let me actually clean up a little bit. I apologize for my messy handwriting. Also like a colon, since it's like using the word because. So again, we have complete agreement between two parts of the sentence. So actually, we're revisiting this psychiatrist example from part 1. And notice what we said earlier. We said her calmness served as a cure. So in this case, the psychiatrist helps her patient, her calmness served as a cure to his anxiety and alleviated his depression. So in this case, we see that she's being helpful, and we want words that would be similar meaning to being helpful. Like, if you're very calm, it's going to help lower the anxiety. So we again see semicolon. We expect full agreement here, and we're looking at keywords. So a combination of all these things, looking at keywords, flow words, punctuation, can all help you determine what to put in the blank. So do watch one of my other videos that's on sentence completions, in which you'll see me choose my word to go in the blank, and then we'll also talk about process of elimination so that you can select the correct answer. So hope you find these helpful, and I wish you the best of luck with your test prep.